Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Kyle Wright 425 podcast. I am your host, Kyle Wright, and as always, I am joined by my older brother, Eric. He's wearing a Joker hoodie tonight, and we are going to be talking about banned scary movies.
Yep.
Before we get there, what would you say is probably one of the most messed up movies that you've ever personally watched? Whether it stuck with you or whether or not it was something that maybe, just kind of like you had like a knee-jerk reaction to it at first or something. Like, what would you say is yours?
Oh, man. I would say right off the rip, the Faces of Death movies, like all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as it that was real, but it wasn't, but it was like, I don't know. It's that's too much to get into, but
spoiler warning, that's on the list tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was actually kind of shocked to see it was on there, and the fact that you even brought that up, because I always kind of viewed that more as like a documentary kind of a thing. But I get it though. It is still a movie, but anyway, there's some, what, dude? There's some stuff on there that's supposedly real, but a lot of it is just really good reenacting. Okay.
Which we found out later in life, but now I think the later ones, like the second one were a lot more like real caught events like on camera. But anyways, as far as like a movie though, like just a movie, probably I would have to say some of the Saws. I can't do some of the stuff that happens in those movies. They just really fuck with me.
So you would look at more the gore aspect of a movie rather than maybe the plot, as far as
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
so more so how it's executed is what ultimately bothers you.
I can't do compound fractures and the fingernails and like the torture rack and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, man, like that's almost making me eerie just like remembering those scenes because it stuck with me.
Now, I will say that I don't want to like delve into that, but there was something about actually Saw 3 that I remember you talking about with Mom. It was like the next day after I think you saw it, because it was brand new in the theaters at that time. And I think I was in the kitchen, and I remember hearing this conversation go down, and Mom was like, well, how was it? Like, was it a good sequel? Like, did they do a good job? Like, I mean, she has the same kind of mind as we do with those things. And I remember you saying, Mom, the beginning of this movie, you were like, I almost had to leave.
Yeah.
And she was like, wait, what do you mean? And I'm not going to go into the details. I don't want to go super into it, but there is the scene that's, if you've not seen Saw 3, that is probably one of the most fucked up things I think I've ever seen somebody do to themselves. Like, it is so grisly in how it is done and how it's executed, and
it almost made me sick.
Yeah, that's in,
and but it's just because of that's one of my things that like I can't do. Yeah, it's almost like a phobia. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, there's certain other movies that I've watched over the years too, and I'm like, son of a bitch, they should put that in the label. Right. Compound fractures, 17 of them in this one.
It's like a trigger warning or something. Yeah.
No, like I get that I don't know. I think me and you talked about it is I've broken enough bones that like it's almost like I knew she was gonna do that.
She turned the PlayStation off.
It just, that feeling, that anxiety feeling of like when you break a bone, but then that one's like snapped like through, you know what I mean? Like that was just like I can feel it, but no. So I would say Saw, and maybe even a little bit of like the Hostel movies, only because
I think that would definitely be up there for me too.
The reason why those movies stuck with me the way that they did, I feel, is that, in my opinion, I think we've talked about this before, but in my opinion,
I just got really uncomfortable because I'm remembering a lot about that film now. I'm like,
which one? The Hostel movies?
Yeah. I just, man.
But that shit could actually happen.
Yes.
Between the Saw franchise and the Hostel 1 and 2, like that shit is real. That could really happen. I think that's what makes it so scary.
Yeah, I mean, I get what Eli Roth was going for as far as, because like I remember watching that movie when I was very young, and that was at a time of my life that I was making a lot of changes personally, and wasn't wanting to be surrounded by some content. And I was like, I'm like, I want to keep myself straight. I want to keep myself on the right road here, not straight literally, but like just like I want to keep myself, everyone's like, oh, we all saw,
we all knew.
I was so intrigued by the horrendous nature of this movie that I wanted to go into it with a very big open mind. And I wanted to understand, because I remember people talking about that. It's like there are legit hotels and legit places that like run, this kind of thing. And it's, it's even if you don't look at it in the like, Amsterdam, Eli Roth, like, extreme, like there's still stuff out there like that.
Exactly. Like that. Yeah. That's what I mean is like there is weird, sick, twisted fucks out there that do that. That shit's on the dark web. That's what these motherfuckers really do. That is what they do. Now you can just watch it, So like the Hostel movies just really reminded me of stuff that you can watch on the dark web. That's real, just snuff. It's not even porn. It's snuff. It's just straight up, torture or death. And that's what's scary. Look at all the human trafficking and the sex trafficking and all that stuff. Like it's clearly real, So to me, that's why it sticks with me is that, me and you could go to Target tomorrow and you could get mugged in the bathroom, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Other than that, movies really don't bother me. We've talked about this, like other than Pennywise that kind of, screwed with me for quite a while when I was a kid, but movies, when I hear a movie's banned and now I got to watch it.
Yeah.
Now you just made it taboo and I have to fucking see it.
That it's kind of carries the same weight as the fact that Outlast 2 was banned in a couple of countries because of some things that happened. And I had to know, like, I wanted to experience this new chapter, of something that, that I've always, wanted to go back to, ever since I played through the main game. And then actually I didn't play the DLC, but I watched somebody play the DLC because I was so desperate to find out what was going to happen next. And so, obviously there was more to drive me than just the controversy. Like I really wanted to know more about this. And the reason the game is banned from what I remember is because of a scene that entails the main antagonist basically from what it is suggesting and the emotions that happen is that he's essentially raping you. But it's
I do remember that.
Yeah, and it's the thing is that now that I think about it, I think it's actually Val is actually trans. So it's that idea where like it's not the normal movements that a man would necessarily be doing. It's this really weird, just confusing moment. Like you can kind of miss it because it is very quick, but it's like I remember watching the scene and I had to go back and really think about it. Like, when I rewatched it, I'm like, did that even happen?
Yeah.
And I looked it up and I'm like, this is why this is banned. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? Like, come on. Like, it's like, I was expecting,
something. Yeah.
Like what the burned body of babies you had to walk over the beginning wasn't the reason. Like
something a little more to it or multiple reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. I was really kind of expecting more, and that's really fucked up that like my mind was like throw the worst thing at me that you possibly can.
Well, but you want it to be if something is banned, that means that there's something really wrong with it, or really intense with it. Like I could see Faces of Death, like why it was banned. That was like the thing. Mom was the one who told me when we had the rental time, which is now like the Pizza Hut / Chinese place / old bank / but no,
so many different businesses. It's crazy.
like it's, I swear it's in a spot this big.
I
There's like
remember
14 things in there.
I remember driving past, I think it was before the Pizza Hut was put in, and it was just like out of nowhere, this Pizza Hut just
showed up.
I was like, oh.
I was like, we have a Pizza Hut now? When did that? Like, we don't need another fucking pizza place around here.
We don't. We need a Taco Bell. But anyway, we did get.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah.
But no. That was the, I think it was was it rental time? But anyway, it doesn't matter. They had this section, and it was like black. It was like this black section of like certain movies, and it was like, banned in all other countries and all this stuff, and they had all the Faces of Death. They had Cannibal Holocaust. They had they had a couple other ones. I can't remember. I was young, like teenager, like early teenager, and Mom, we were hanging out with Uncle Doug one night, a bunch of buddies, and drinking, hanging out. And she's like, you guys got to get the Faces of Death movies.
It just blows my mind that she was the one that suggested it.
Yeah, she's the one who told me about this shit. And we got the first. She's like, don't bother with the first one. It's kind of dumb. It is kind of dumb. It's more like autopsy stuff. I don't want to say it's dumb, but it's not like the others.
Right.
So
you can kind of get over that quickly, you know, or more quicker than you can with like all the random deaths and stuff that are happening.
We ended up getting like 2 through 4 or 5 or something. And I just remember her going, wait till the Australia scene or something like that. And what it was is, or she said the parachuters and the alligators. And I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
And when that guy got taken by the wind and the friends were just videotaping like the landing, and it was just like 3 or 4 others waiting on him, and just all you heard was screeching and screaming as he was just being ripped apart. I was like, oh my God. And then the guy that shot himself on live TV,
which is actually a video I think you can still find on YouTube.
You can. I mean, because
I think it like jumps around to like channel to channel and stuff of like, the way it doesn't get banned.
What ended up happening was it was on. Mom again told me, because that was another one she said to look out for. She's like, me and your dad, my dad. Mm-hmm. She's like, we watched. She's like, you were like a year old, maybe I was maybe a year or 2 old. She said we watched that live.
Oh yeah.
And what she said was, I swear the dude was from like Cincinnati, I think, because I'm pretty sure he was from Ohio. It was an Ohio thing.
Yeah.
He'd embezzled a bunch of money and like all this stuff, and he had that manila envelope. He was having that press conference or whatever, and when he pulled it out and everybody started panicking, he's like, no, this will hurt somebody. Like, don't come at me.
Stay away from me. Yeah.
Mom said immediately all of the cameras, as soon as he went like this, they pulled off except for one.
Yeah. And that's the footage that we now have.
And that's the footage that we have. So I know that like I said, some of that stuff is real as you get later on. So I could see why that shit was like banned, because that's kind of like the dark web before the dark web existed.
Yeah, it was. I think that was kind of an attempt. I mean, this is an opinion. This is not research. This is just my opinion. Is like when I was rethinking about it, it's like I feel like that was like an attempt, to just try to like maybe normalize it in a way or whatever. I mean, like it's this idea that it's like it's not so bad. It's like, I don't know. Like I've thought about that, but. Because wasn't it that it ended up being that the guy that was doing it was setting up different events to happen, or did they disprove that?
I don't know. I've heard so many things that he was in jail because they found out that he was setting stuff up for people to be killed, and he got caught like being on camera or something.
Yeah,
because the guy like was never really revealed for a long time, like who he was, like what he looked like and stuff. But he was like always on set, clearly. But something about I swear I heard that he was caught like being the culprit behind like accidents and
Yeah.
so-called deaths. But
It makes you wonder if that was the intent from the beginning, or if that was something like maybe he just realized how much money he was making and just got like, sadistically, but it's like but taken over.
From what I understand was that he was
insane.
like running out of material. And again, I don't know how true that is. I haven't done too much more research on that, but yeah. So that being said, definitely those. That was how I came across those. It was like VHS. Yes, VHS, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So
this is a
rewind.
This is a generation of people in this house that have all remember VHS tapes and owned many of them.
Yeah, except for you, Thor. But no,
that'll probably end up being a clip on its own.
But yeah, that was kind of like an interesting night to say. We had pizza, we had beer, we had all kinds of stuff. So like that was a good night with the boys, but some of the guys couldn't handle it after getting a little drunk.
I can see it, man. And
also I wondered, since this podcast is going to be called Banned Movies, I wonder if they're going to monetize us. Because
that will be interesting, because we are going to read some stuff later that has some R words in it. So that's probably going to.
You already said it.
Well, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Well, maybe it's like the fuck rating where it's like, you get one.
So many.
So, have you actually seen that post where they take PG-13 movies, like in particular, like Lord of the Rings? They were like, if you could put one fuck into Lord of the Rings, where would you put it? And people were posting scenes with the speech bubbles showing it, like where they would put the thing in within the conversation, and it actually fits really well. So, but I think it's like that, So we get one R word.
Okay, all right.
So, but we'll see. So, starting off here, we may blow through these pretty quick, or there may be some on here that you've never heard of, or some that I've never heard of, depending on what we run into. But first one that's up here is obviously a very famous one, and you've already mentioned it, which is Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh.
It says the synopsis, for anyone that doesn't know, is one of horror's found footage subgenres. Square one of horror's found footage subgenre. This alleged lost tape from an American film crew trekking into the Amazon crossed every line it could reach. An anthropologist leads an expedition to recover the documentarians who went looking for the indigenous tribes of man-eaters rumored to be hiding around the jungle. They then find savagery beyond their wildest imagining, including an infamous sequence of a young woman being impaled on a wooden stake, and numerous examples of why this movie is named Cannibal Holocaust. It says the controversy. After 10 glorious days of release, during which the film generated a staggering $200 million, it says the film was pulled from theaters, and the Italian director, I think he's got a really weird name, but it's Ruggero Deodato. I don't know, Deodato. It says was slapped with obscenity charges. When the film ran in France, the photo magazine alleged that the extensive ritual sacrifice sequences were the real deal, and the courts threw a murder charge on him for good measure. The filmmaker had to track down his actors and bring them before a jury so they could explain that they had not, in fact, been slaughtered by the production. His name was cleared, and his space in the fake snuff film Hall of Fame was cemented.
No, well, the problem behind that, too, they left out of what I've always read, was the biggest controversy was, yes, he did have to bring his actors out. They had they signed a contract to not go out in the world for a year.
Yeah, it was a very, very strict and very well enforced NDA.
Yes,
it was you will not make your presence known to anyone, or past your town, or whatever, people that know you or whatever. But
that was the biggest thing was because then these people were just gone.
Yeah,
and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So that's intense.
The other reason that I've heard, I'm surprised that it's not on here, is I believe that the animals that were killed in the movie were actually killed.
I've heard that, but then I swear I thought I found that was debunked too.
Okay.
I don't know.
I know that PETA had a big issue with it, or whatever.
They did, but
that was
because
at that
they
point,
thought it was real, but so they thought those people were dead too.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. That could be true though.
Either way, I know funnily enough, the director of that film, that's actually the first time I've ever seen his name. I've never even pronounced it before, obviously. But he actually has a cameo in Hostel 2. I don't know if you know that.
I heard that. I don't remember where he was.
It's funnily enough, he plays the cannibal, the guy that has his leg all cut apart in the room when he's on the slab. It's a very, very quick scene, but they focus on him a little more than the other people that are being asked. Which that scene kind of has like a dark humor kind of thing to it, like where it's like, every single room is being visited that somebody is being tortured in. And they're knocking on the door to be like, hey, do you want this one? And he's like, no, I'm good, man. Like, and he's just like got his drill or whatever. Like, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But it's just like, man, like that's kind of funny. Like, and that's Eli Roth. Like, that's just how he does his humor.
And that's what I mean. Like, that shit is real. That's what's fucking scary.
So this next one, I imagine, is going to go pretty quick. But it's The Exorcist is actually banned. Obviously, it says a young girl in Washington, D.C. begins exhibiting some incredibly odd behavior. It turns out that she is possessed by a demon. Holy men are called to rid her of her unholy spirit, and heads do not roll so much as they rotate 360 degrees.
Yeah.
The controversy, the self-mutilating crucifix masturbation, the film long buffet of sacrilege, your mother sucks cocks in hell, and even audiences who had become accustomed to the loosening of restrictions on sex and violence were shocked. And it says that paramedics were supposedly called to numerous screenings, and rumors that people died of heart attacks watching some of the movie's most intense scenes still persist to this day. The UK banned it from home release for a decade, and the scholars have obsessed over the controversial presence of subliminal messaging in the film in order to disturb viewers. Something Friedkin has confirmed over the years, the director. So some countries just couldn't handle it. Like, that's insane. Which, again, like, I've seen it. I don't think it's horrible, but it's not a movie I'm ever going to watch again. And
the movie sucks dick.
Yeah, I don't know, like...
Sorry, I can't get into it.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is that Linda Blair's appearance in the film, to me, is something that's still like it can bother me if I see it at the wrong time, because like I've had it like when I was younger, that face would pop up like on a commercial for like sci-fi or something or something like that, and it would like make me shit. Like it was like, man, because it kind of has like that humanoid, disturbing, kind of creepy, not exactly ugly, but not exactly innocent. Like it's I don't know, it's weird.
I don't know. That movie and the poltergeist and again the paranormal activity, all that. Nah, man, like I can see where the like masturbation scene might be like where people were, all that. But as far as like the shock value and the intenseness, no, man, that movie sucks. Even for that time period.
Now, I mean, really think about that. I mean, is that something that you believe that if you were alive then that it would still have the same effect on you? Like, are you sure? Like,
yeah, I mean, think about it. I watched that when I was like 7.
I was trying to put that in perspective. I'm like, because it's like I've thought about that before, and like that kind of intimidates me. Like I would be very interested to see it through that lens.
I think about it is that I watched it before I was 10 years old to begin with. So I mean, like I was a kid, and I didn't watch it. Like that was back in the Disney when we had HBO and Cinemax and all the good ones. So like it was R-rated. Mm-hmm. It was no TBS bullshit. Like it was the real deal. And I don't know. I just remember watching it again, just going, this movie's dumb. Like that did nothing for me. So that's interesting that it's on that list.
Next up is obviously Faces of Death.
Okay.
And basically just, the intro, I mean, I don't have to read the synopsis for all of them.
It's pretty much explained.
I mean, this basically gives a little more, specification on some of the, I guess more aggressive kills. It says, including scenes depicting a graphic autopsy, a decapitation, a suicide, a cannibal orgy, and a bear mauling. It's considered one of the most horrifying and nauseating documentaries ever made. The conservative politicians and self-appointed social watchdogs link John Allen Schwartz's film to more of the heinous crimes of the day, and bans followed in a handful of countries. Even the FBI, fooled by a cruddy print, looked into whether the scene showing a death cult in San Francisco might merit some further investigation. So like that's insane that like the FBI was like, hey, can you give us some more information about this shit? Like, we believe that this is connected to something. It's like, oh God, so it lays credence to like the whole Hostel thing where it's just like, dude, it's like this shit's real.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like when you have something like that, again, you could really do, or, could really be a scenario like that is grounds for somebody to be like, well, let's do it. I can do that. Yeah. So that's, like I said, that's just what's scary. Look, they got a lead on something from a fucking movie, a documentary, or whatever they call it.
Which could you imagine how great it would be if it actually was a tip and the guy was legit just compiling all this shit and was like, he's like, here, I'll help you. I'll do this. So
yeah, right.
But, this next one I have not watched. Now I know for a fact that Mike has for sure seen this. And obviously he's you and him are kind of in the same way, like nothing really phases him. And he was just like, he watched it and was kind of like, he's like, I think I could probably see why this is an issue for some people, but he's like, it's a movie. He's like, it's, movies are pretend, so it's like, right. No matter how heinous or horrible, it's like, just like we've talked about, not Robin Williams, my God, like Rob Zombie said, where he's like, I'd be more freaked out about, putting the violence in my movies than if I did, if it was real, but it fucking isn't. So he's like, it's not real. Like it's
all fake and camera trickery.
Like we're playing pretend. Like that's literally what's happening here. So just that we're just doing it at a very extreme and dark level. That's all that it is. So, this one is Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Have you ever watched this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently it's a very early film of Michael Rooker. Or it's not of him, but he plays the main character. And it says John McNaughton's Take No Prisoners indie lets viewers tag along with its titular killer, played memorably by Michael Rooker, and his sleazy degenerate pal as they randomly rack up one murder after the next. The introduction of his friend's sister, Becky, into his life suggests that Henry may have a chance for a normal life, and that notion is short-lived. The controversy. The film's production company didn't even give the movie a theatrical release, leaving McNaughton to personally send screeners copies to prominent critics in the hope of drumming up buzz and snagging a distributor. But nobody was biting after the MPAA slapped Henry with an X rating, then most reservedly for porno flicks. Wow, I can't fucking talk tonight. I need some water. Been talking a lot. I told him today, I'm really dehydrated today. I've been trying to keep up and I just can't do it. God, you would have thought I ate a big pretzel or something. Okay. I'm talking one with really, really thick salt. The one where you look,
the big chunks.
Yeah. Where you look at it and you're like, I probably shouldn't eat this for many reasons. So, so the X rating, which is mainly only given to porno flicks. The violent, heavy film helped precipitate the creation of the NC-17 rating, a distinction for movies with extreme content that didn't cross the line into nudie pick territory. Nearly 3 years after his festival premiere, McNaughton landed a limited release that earned just over $600,000, but made him into a folk hero on the cold film circuit. So I believe from what Mike told me was that if you don't want to have this film spoiled for you, and if you want to watch it for whatever reason, mute the video here. But essentially, I guess he just kills his best friend at the end, chops him into a bunch of pieces and scatters him or something. And then the movie ends. Or it's something to that effect. And Mike was kind of like, all right, he's like, I figured this would be something a little more than this, but
yeah. What year was it made? Does it say?
1986.
Okay.
My God, this is bound to be on here. The Human Centipede.
I kind of figured.
Yeah. We all know what the synopsis is. It's a guy that attaches
ass
people
to mouth.
Yeah, so surgically, at least the first one is. It's done professionally. Just
shit it out.
Yeah, oh my God. You know the second one, the guy used duct tape and staples, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't leave you. Like you're never really quite over it. Like it comes back at the worst time. Like when you're meeting someone new and it's all that flashes through your brain. Oh yeah, happened to me twice.
Or while you're like eating ice cream or something.
Actually, it's never during an eating thing. It's always an anxiety thing where I suddenly just can't fucking think. All I can think of is, oh my God, that fucking happened. So,
well, again, it's not real.
It says, like a modern day William Castle, Dutch director Tom Six used his 100% medically accurate gimmick to troll for controversy, adding an extra offense by evoking the specter of Nazi experiments. Let's see here. When he claimed that the movie had been called the most horrifying film ever made, a British journalist tried to track down the source of the quote, and it was never found. He also mentioned that when the film showed up at festivals, there was a copious amount of incidents involving people vomiting in the aisles, which was probably true. The film's 2011 sequel caused even more controversy, with several newspapers asking if the movie should be banned indefinitely. Because the second one isn't even a movie. It's just people being mutilated in the worst possible way. Like, it's just, the plot is not present. Like,
I still haven't seen the third one yet.
It's not worth it.
Why?
It's not worth it.
It's definitely worth it. I gotta get through this.
It is so fucking dumb, dude. Like, cause I'm Tom Six. I respect you as a director, but
you got it fucking dumb.
The third one, from what I remember being quoted by Tom Six, was that he said that the third one was going to make the second one look like a Disney film. And I was severely underwhelmed. Like it was not as bad as I thought that it was going to be. I thought it was going to be this, just essentially like, just snuff film or something, to that effect. From like how the second one was, it basically was a cinematic snuff film, like without any.
Well, yeah, I mean,
without any real things happening. Like it was just because like the second one is, from what I understand, like shot very beautifully. Like it is. I've never actually sat down and watched the whole thing. I've only watched certain sequences and like what I can stomach. But I remember there was a particular YouTuber that was talking about that, and he's like, this is a film that could probably win awards for its cinematography, but he's like, but unfortunately, it never will because it's such a horrendous film. Like with what happens.
Why does it? Why can't movies like that? Why can't Rob Zombie win? Like, why can't Tom Six win? Like, why? Just because it's graphic?
It's because of the normality of like what it will be accepted by the public. Because it's a film that physically, I know that there's been people that can't even get through the film.
Okay, well, they're trying to.
I think that
they're trying to normalize pedophiles with cuties on fucking Netflix. You're telling me a fake ass to mouth stapling because of some glorious shots and how it looks and how beautifully cinematic it is, can't win a fucking award?
Yeah.
This is why the world needs to fucking end. I'm serious.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one.
Okay.
That's the straw back broken.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
I've never heard it put that way before. Straw back broken. That was a very good George Carlin moment. I'm proud of you.
Is that what he said?
George Carlin there was just some times where he was just like some of the shit that came out of his mouth where you're like, whoa.
Oh, I thought maybe I quoted him on accident.
You basically did, like with like some of the things that he said before, like the whole like, something to the effect of fuck the government, fuck officials, and fuck everyone. Now that I think about it, it's that type of thing.
Mom always used to tell me that me and my father could paint a picture with obscenities. It's a gift.
What was it? He worked in profanities as others worked in pastels and clay.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Okay, next one. And I'm really happy we're going to get to this one because this is this is so beautifully reviewed by Decker Shadow. and he mimicked all the scenes he couldn't show on YouTube legally with dolls.
For what movie?
For I Spit on Your Grave.
I've seen that. What do you mean?
1978.
I've seen both.
So
I've seen both of them.
Really, also the remake.
Yeah.
Ooh. Now, from what I understand, the remake was pretty good. Like as far as like the kills and everything, like everything was done very well. But again, not a movie I'm dying to watch. Where it's like, you know what, I think I'm going to go home tonight, watch I Spit on Your Grave. That'll just.
You probably would like it.
I mean, I don't know. I'll have to probably make that a dedication thing. Where
Pretty
like,
sure
I'm
there's
sit
a
down
hand
and
in a garbage disposal at one point. I think that's the right one, or is that the last house on the left?
Oh, well, actually, I believe that one shows up on here too. So that may.
Man, how fucked up am I? And I've watched like all of these things.
Well, I mean, you have to think about this too. There's a lot of films and entertainment that get banned in particular countries, no matter like, you know, what is accepted in America. Mm-hmm. There's just some countries that just won't deal with even certain kinds of violence. As far as like if there's like maybe rape in some movies, they won't show it anywhere. Particular acts of violence are not allowed to be shown.
Man, what was that one? What was that one movie we were just talking the other night? With the dude with the head that he was giving himself had.
High Tension. Yeah.
High Tension. That movie's fucked.
It's bad.
That movie is straight fucked.
I watched that movie with Mom.
I watched that movie.
Was rough.
Yeah, I watched that movie a couple of times, and every time I'm like, whoa. All right.
We get it.
Yeah, we get it. Jeez. But no, okay, so
I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah.
It says it's banned in several countries, including a spot on the UK's video nasties list.
Ooh.
I Spit on Your Grave remains notorious for drawing the ire of Roger Ebert, who gave it 0 stars and considered it the worst film ever made. Among the countries to have banned the film were Iceland, Ireland, Germany, and Norway. Some countries show a shortened version of it over the years, usually trimming what is indeed a prolonged gang rape scene. Mm-hmm. The various activist groups still consider this to be one of the most anti-women films ever made, despite the fact that its director, Mayor Zarchi, originally wanted to call it Day of the Woman. So,
well, right, like,
yeah,
she gets plowed unwillingly, but then she gets her revenge.
This is not, I don't look at that as an anti-woman story at all. I look at now let's be clear, it's not a story that I would ever want to come up with. Like it's horrible. It's horrible what happens.
I don't mean what happened to her was cool.
But for the plot though, it is that it kind of did what the girl with the dragon tattoo did with its arson. Okay, it's there's a scene in that film that is horrible.
I've heard.
But the thing is that David Fincher did a very good job of delivering, and it's like he makes it worth it. Like it's, and that's horrible to even say, but it's like it shows you, like, you know, how this character retaliates towards this person that did that to them, and it's the same idea. You know,
when you can make me feel like that, like the scenes like that. I don't mean that they don't do anything for like to me or anything, but there are some that are just more intense than others. Mm-hmm. And I feel like clearly on a movie like I Spit on Your Grave, well, yeah, it's going to be intense. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a 2-minute clip of this poor woman getting this done to her, but then it's another hour and 26 minutes of her going, okay,
it's time.
Let's do this. Like,
So what I love about it too wasn't it the whole, I don't know if it was done in both versions, but it's that they believe that she's a ghost. It's like, we're like, they thought they killed her. And then,
I think so.
It's which to me, like that adds a whole different element to the film that, you know, is from their perspective. You know, it's like, oh my God.
Then I'm actually surprised that the new Evil Dead isn't on here with the tree scene.
See, I've not gone that far into the list, so I don't know what all is going to be coming up. This actually is a brand new one for me. This one is I Stand Alone. Came out in 1998. I'm not familiar with it, but It's situated between the French art house's extreme edges and exploitation cinema's lunatic fridge. That's weird. What's one?
I'm looking this up. That sounds familiar.
Situated between the French art house's extreme edges and exploitation cinema lunatic fridge. Wow, that's crazy. I've never even thought that could even be a fucking statement. It says Gaspar Noé's notorious feature debut often feels like an existential slasher film as told from the perspective of the killer. Abused at a young age by a priest, an unnamed French butcher ends up killing the man he thought raped his daughter, getting raped himself, and indulging in more hard-to-watch incidents than can be counted on one bloodied hand. It does not end well, to say the least.
I just looked up the picture to see. Never seen it. Never heard of it.
Because there's not even a picture on the site here. So
there was a picture I saw. It was weird.
Man,
it was weird.
Let's see here. So the controversy. No has never shied away from the graphics. See his rape revenge drama Irreversible, which is another movie that actually Mike actually we talked about. We have a buddy of ours from the UK, and he talked about Irreversible and how insanely good it is, and all that stuff. He's into all those, into all those controversial films and things that are hard to stomach. I don't think there's a film he has not watched. He has watched everything. And
that's cool. I like that though.
But from what this says is that his debut feature took many folks completely off guard with its penchant for perversion, taboo breaking, and overall brutality. Festival audiences reacted violently at several screenings, thought to be fair. Though to be fair, he did add a warning title card giving sensitive viewers 30 seconds to vacate the auditorium before his stomach-churning climax. Still, the most sickening and violent scene in which the butcher performs a DIY abortion on his own wife with a shockingly direct method. He raised the majority of public hackles and got the infant terrible accused of being the cinematic equivalent of a terrorist. Speaking to IndieWire, the filmmaker cited the 1983 Austrian masterpiece Angst as one of the movie's indirect inspirations, and talked glowingly of how the movie was banned for being too out there. Though his film did not meet the same fate, it was not for lack of trying. That is, you're getting into the territory of where I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to see that. It's like that's fucked up. That's really bad.
Yeah, that's just, I honestly, I don't want to say I agree with it, but just like, the Human Centipede movies, it's just for shock value at this point.
It is.
It's just for, oh my God, did you see that movie that Kyle Wright made? That's what it is.
I kind of hope the middle does turn into that. I don't want it to be a snuff film or anything to that. I don't make snuff films. Let's be clear. No, but like a snuff like film. No. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go there. All right, so no, but it's just there's so much about these banned films that are maybe not necessarily, shocking to the point of where it affects everybody.
No.
But in the same hand, there is still a shocking nature about all of them. And it's like, I get it. To the point of that, I'm all right with anybody expressing themselves artistically in any way that they should, because again, it's not real. I get it. It's not real.
Yeah.
But there's just some content that me personally, where it's just I'm when you start involving kids, when you start involving, when you involve rape, when you involve, I can't do it. That's actually why I didn't watch Girl with the Dragon Tattoo for such a long time, because I was just I don't mean to judge the film, at that time, but it was, I didn't mean to judge the film at that time, but it was just, man, I couldn't stomach it. And I'm like, dude, I get it. It's David Fincher. He directed Fight Club. Fight Club is arguably one of my, if not my favorite film.
Right.
It's but I knew I personally at that time could not get through that scene. And with movies like Irreversible and, movies like, I Stand Alone and a couple of other films I've watched that feature rape. It's just, I can't do it. Like it's now that does say something about the, talent of the actors and the actresses that are doing
They make you feel like it's real.
And that's, like I've heard directors say that before, mainly about like sex scenes. They're like, if I look at the camera or look through the lens of the camera and I feel uncomfortable watching this scene happen, I know for a fact I've nailed it.
It's being done right.
Yes. And it's that type of, thing. And it's like, I don't know. I can't do it. And, like I said, I did eventually watch Dragon Tattoo, but, there's a few films out there where I'm just like, man, like I don't need to experience that. There's only one film that I sat through because it was a foreign film and I had to know, like, what the true controversy was. And I regretted every second of watching it. Like it's something I wish I could erase from my memory. It's a Serbian film.
Oh,
that's really bad.
Yeah, that one is pretty bad. That's probably on here.
Oh yeah, it is. I believe it might actually be next. Nope. Night of the Living Dead is next after this one. But 1972, The Last House on the Left. It's already been mentioned. So it's basically about, it says, en route to a concert, 2 teenage girls are sexually assaulted, tortured, and killed by a sadistic gang in the woods. When the thugs inadvertently hold up in one of the victim's houses, her parents have their revenge. This says it's loosely inspired by Ingmar Bergman's The Virgin Spring and blessed with a home movie crudeness. Wes Craven's rape revenge thriller pushed the limits of good taste from its horrifically violent scenes, comeuppance, not a notorious scene in which a character is forced to urinate on herself. We can be thankful that the director abandoned the idea of including hardcore pornography like he originally had planned. New York Times critic Howard Thompson admitted to walking out after 50 minutes of the sickening tripe, and despite a few prominent critics rising to its defense at various times, Last House stayed on the UK's notorious video nasties list for decades, losing appeal after appeal until finally getting an uncut video release in 2008. Even its lead actor, Fred Lincoln, once said, "I wish it had been banned in the United States."
Why? Then nobody would have known who Wes Craven was.
Yeah, and that's again, Wes Craven. He's a guy that's not afraid to go there. He's not afraid to, or was. I mean, obviously he's no longer here, but it. I mean, it kind of makes you think about like it's like, man, it's like this is the same guy that did all these other movies that I've grown so used to, and it's like, all right, well, whatever. So
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
I think he did all of his shocking at that point. He was kind of like, okay, he's like, I kind of blew my load on the idea of like how I can shock people. Now I just want to make good scary movies,
right?
And he did them all exceptionally well.
100%.
It's just,
I mean that he's one of the godfathers of gore and nudity, like honestly.
Let's see here. We'll do a few more here.
What we got?
We're at about 52 minutes, so which is probably about 47 minutes for you guys right about now. So depending on the editing and everything. But so next up is Night of the Living Dead, 1968. It says, after a space probe explodes in Earth's atmosphere, most likely the reason giving that it's a theory voiced by the film's residential scientist, the dead began to rise from their graves and shamble after the living, attacking them for their delicious, delicious flesh. A group of survivors hole up in a house while outside dozens of ghouls, though these creatures could be known throughout the world as zombies, try to get at them. And with one $114,000 independent horror movie, director George A. Romero gave birth to a cottage industry. It says the controversy was from the very beginning. When the movie premiered in Pittsburgh, it says during a Saturday matinee screening filled with kids, the Rosetta Stone of zombie films attracted its fair share of notoriety. Audience weren't accustomed to such in your face violence and gore, which completely violated the regulations of what you could show on screen at that time. Oh shit. According to Glenn Kay's Zombie Movies, the film's distributor didn't even submit it to the MPAA for rating. The Variety did everything but call for Romero's head on a platter, saying the movie compromised the moral health of film goers and essentially established the guidelines for the pornography of violence. Controversial or not, the movie went on to break records at midnight screenings and drive-ins. It's now rightfully considered as an American classic. That's so crazy.
That is nuts. I didn't know that's why.
Man, think about that. Like
he was like, "Fuck y'all, here it is. Play it."
What I love is, how would you like to be the guy that didn't take it to the MPAA for them to be like, hey, like,
That's what I'm saying. He was like, nah, just here, guys, I'm going to make a bunch of these copies. Just put them in your theaters.
God, that is, dude, what a badass. Dude, that was just a mic drop. Just, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, nope, you're going to watch my fucking movie.
Okay, so we got two more. We'll go ahead and finish up strong. So, Psycho, 1960.
Okay.
A secretary from Phoenix steals $40,000 from the office and goes on the lam. Exhausted from the drive and facing a heavy rainstorm, she finds a vacancy at the Bates Motel. The proprietor seems friendly. What could go wrong? And as we all know, Norman Bates is psychotic. He believes he's his mother, and he likes to wear wigs and kill people with knives. It's
way to spoil it for everybody.
It's incredible. If you don't know what happened in Psycho, then, well, I probably really did ruin that for you. I apologize. So, all right. I could edit that out, but that would take too much work. It says the controversy. Audiences had never seen anything as shocking as Alfred Hitchcock's movie, particularly the famed shower sequence. The movie is considered to have helped kill the old production code that regulated sex and violence on screen. Hitch played an elaborate bait and switch game to get around censors, promising cuts that he never made, and he forced exhibitors to stick a no late admissions policy. In Singapore, the shower scene played in toto, while another murder scene and a shot of a corpse were cut entirely. Faintings in the audience were allegedly a common occurrence. Critic C.A. Lejeune, I believe, abruptly resigned her post in The Observer after 32 years of service for having to sit through it. It's still the quintessential slasher flick. That's crazy. Dude, oh my God. Alfred Hitchcock, he was a straight up OG dude. Like, he just did not give a shit.
No, he was. He definitely was.
Oh man. It's one of my favorite things to do is to always try to figure out like what part he's playing in his movies, because he always cameos.
Always has a spot.
I remember there was a documentary about him, and they said that he was the type of guy that would open up for sake of argument, he would open up a bottle of Jack Daniels, and he would start pouring it onto the floor, or he would pour it into a bucket, and he would tell a story. And the whole time while he was telling the story, he would make it last. So he was just continuously like, he was a really weird dude. Like
why would you waste that?
I don't know. It was some like expensive alcohol that he would always do it with, whether it was like wine or champagne or like something that he would do. I remember seeing that in a documentary. So hopefully I can find it someday.
Okay.
He was, from what I understand, was kind of a tyrant about certain things. He should be about, about making his films right, about, going about the right way. But I think he put some of his actresses through a little bit of hell with some things, kind of like Stanley Kubrick them a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, that's another guy that we'll probably do an episode on, is Kubrick, because he's a
weird.
Oh yeah, it's just 2001: Space Odyssey looks better than 90% of the films that are out today. And I want to know why. I am fully convinced they filmed that thing in space, but that's just an opinion. So, a Serbian film.
So what was the last one?
Made in 2010. A retired porn star with dwindling finances agrees to return on the screen in an art film. Sounds like easy money, right? Until the shoot opens up with jackbooted thugs leading him to an orphanage set.
Mm-hmm.
Rape, snuff, incest, pedophilia, necrophilia, newborn porn. Do not ask. This genuinely vile movie, regrettably, has it all. Censor boards around the world have done everything they can to prevent people from seeing it. 2 different cuts were released in the U.S. One NC-17, that one 5 minutes longer and unrated. But Netflix dropped the DVD from its rolls without explanation, and countries like Spain, Norway, Brazil, Australia, and New Zealand have banned it entirely. Those who would sit through it will be comforted to learn that the filmmakers see it as a blanket metaphor for the atrocities of the Balkan War. Right. That is, oof.
Well,
it's rough, man. Like have you ever actually sat down and watched it?
Seen some of it.
What all did you see?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I just know that I've seen some of it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get a chance to watch all of it. Now I don't remember if I was like going to sleep or if it was one of those things that was like, oh, I'll check it out real quick and then, you know what I mean? Like, and just never went back to it. But I know I did see a little bit of it, bits and pieces. I know that it was a big deal. Mm-hmm. It was a big deal. And I needed to know why.
Yeah.
So
I did too.
And that's why
I downloaded that movie off of LimeWire.
Oh God.
And for whatever reason, the last half hour, 20 minutes wasn't included in the version that I got. Mm. So I had to find another version of this that, you know, that I could watch it. And the only one that I could watch the last half hour or 20 minutes with, or 20 minutes for was one without subtitles. So I had to
just guess.
I just toughed it out, and I now understand, as I've done some research, why it didn't really affect me that much.
Because you had the subtitles?
Yeah. Now, there was still some horrendous shit that I saw at the end of it, but it is so bad that for a while there was some things about the film, which I mean, it's already been said, the newborn porn thing, but it's like that there was some things I wouldn't even repeat. That right. Like that's because our mom was actually asking me the one time, she's like, what happens in it? Like what's the big deal? Like why is this film banned? And I'm like, Mom, I'm like, genuinely, you do not want to know. I'm like, this is I'm like, I'm not messing with you. Like this is that bad. Like it is that fucking bad. And after a while, like she wouldn't stop. She wanted to know. And I'm like, all right, here it is. I'm like, you remember, you're going to want me to stop. Like I let her Kenny to her before I even knew what it was. I'm like, you're going to want me to stop. And I'm not going to stop. I have to finish my thought. All right. So I'm like, this is what's going to happen. And you are going to sit through me telling you this and be prepared. And she was like, okay. And I did. She did not like any of it.
Imagine that.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Like, let me say this. It's a very, very well-made film. It is beautifully shot. It is
again,
actors and actresses do a fantastic job. I mean, for the most part. I mean, I'm not from, that native area. So I don't because I don't know if this sounds weird, but it's like if certain inflections on words make things sound
different, like it does here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but from what I could tell, it seemed like it was very cohesive. It felt like it told a very, consistent story. And what absolutely I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize what this guy said at the end. But if you don't want to know what happens at the end of Serbian film, get out of here. But essentially, after the main character finds out that he was doing something in the last scene that was horrible to his son, that's all I'm going to say. He did not know it was his son, and his wife was also involved in that scene. And obviously, after they think that they've killed everybody and that they're safe, they go home and they basically all decide to kill themselves. So he takes a gun and has them lay on a bed, and he points it either through like her back or whatever, and it kills all three of them. And it cuts to later. They have been laying there for however long. They're all dead. Two more big thugs walk in with a video camera, and he looks at the other one and says, start with the little one. and the film ends. And it's like, that's like, to me, like that was something that I didn't like. I'm sorry if I put anybody through that, but it's like, it's just,
well, no, I mean, you basically just explained, what it was. So
it is that is, again, that to me, that is too far. Like that's kind of what made me decide from that point on just to not take the risk. Like, it was just like, yeah, I can't do it.
See, to me, like that's a movie. Like like I said, like you have to know, and
which I mean, obviously I did. Like I had to know,
and like, again, it is a film; it's not real, but again, that is shit that does actually happen.
Yeah,
that's what's scary. So like that's, going through this list, kind of recapped all of the craziness that was my teenage and kind of a little bit of a young adult life, and some good memories actually too in it, and that's kind of shocking to say, but with the exception of a Serbian film and then that one I Stand Alone.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are like really the only two that I didn't really know anything about, not know anything about, but I didn't really like watch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like I said. What's that say about me that I've basically seen all of those movies on that list.
Spare a few or whatever. It's
I was like,
Again, I feel like that's more so because like the majority of the ones that we read were not really banned in the US. They were banned more so like, in Norway, UK, like all that stuff. So it's just, to me, I feel like it's just, I mean, every culture is different. Every place in the world. Me. Yeah. It's, I mean, cause like we're exposed to so much, in the United States. And it's like, it's just, it is what it is. It's like you kind of have seen everything, by the time you reach your mid-20s,
I just feel like if it's a movie, it shouldn't, as long as it's fake, why should it be banned? Okay, well, give me an NC-17. I don't care. Or give me an X rating because I show all this nudity and then grotesqueness. Like, I don't give a shit. But you're not going to ban me. It's not real.
Yeah, and it's
not real.
I think that it's also, this is where my artistic mind starts coming out as far as like, what I would do if I had a film that was that effect. But go ahead, finish with that.
If porn literally could have been like porno films in theaters, adult theaters, triple X rating, if those can be a thing, so can a Serbian film. So can, The Last House on the Left. So can, that is literally people fucking.
Yeah.
Like legit sex. You mean to tell me because a fake rapey scene and a fake stabbing in the eyeball and some fake cannibalism happens, you're going to ban me? No, come on, dude. You need to do a little better than that.
I think that it is, like we said, it's shocking to see what affects the rest of the world differently, and how it just goes about. It's,
I guess, man.
But I don't know. It's in the same hand, I have a very open mentality when it comes to that. I get it. Like if somebody is trying to do something, like it's like being okay with Joel's death. It's like that's something that doesn't make me hate it. It's like this is like, I'm like, it evoked the emotion out of you that it was intended. It made you hate the other character. So I'm all about that. It's just, I think that there's also a missed opportunity here too. And like I said, this is where my distributor mind starts to come about, where it's like, how could I market this? How could I take something that is so horrible content wise, but market it in a way? And I feel like it's the same thing. Like, I mean, 'cause you mentioned Evil Dead, is that it's what Evil Dead did to me. It was the very first time I ever saw a poster of Fede Alvarez's version of Evil Dead, the newest one. which is arguably one of my favorite films. Like it's a very, very awesome remake, and the gore is so damn good. Like,
Yeah,
it is.
It even almost got me a couple of times.
Yeah, and like there's little to no CG in that whole film. It's all practical.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, it's just, oh my God, it's just the shot of just, I'm not gonna get into it. I'll be on that too long. But no, it did something so interesting, was that the very first time that I even got an inkling that this was even happening as a remake was this poster, and it was of Mia, who's the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a shot of her walking through the woods on a path. Her leg was kind of inverted in, like she was in groin pain, and she was all like kind of curled up, and her dress was ripped apart. She was covered in blood. She was, like she was wearing these boots that made it very clear that like it made it look like almost like she was in a hurry. Like it's like she had to put shoes on to be able to run and get away properly. Right. And, it's like, I mean, obviously the story is different than what I interpreted, but it's like I was seeing all of these things, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And it didn't even have the title of the movie huge. You had to look for it. It was at the very, very bottom. All the poster said was, "This is the most terrifying film you will ever see."
And you're like, wait, what is this?
Yeah, I'm like, what? Like, who is this? Like, what set is this even on? Because this is clearly a Hollywood movie. So, like, what is this? And I looked down and I saw Evil Dead, and I went, they're remaking Evil Dead.
I know. That's how I felt about it too. I was like, oh shit.
Like, I was actually nervous going to the theater to see the tree scene, because I didn't know what was going to happen. Like, how they were gonna, like, were they gonna be not as intense? Or but the thing is, I feel like that actually made more sense than what the original did, where it was just like a blatant, thing. Like, this was actually, it kind of had like a Jason Goes to Hell kind of mentality.
Yeah.
So, which again is, not a bad thing. I think it's a really good thing. It did it, like I said, really well. But, yeah, I feel like that if you market, if you literally like, market that it's like, this is a film that will make you puke. This is a film that is going to make you hate me. This is a film that's like,
that's how it's going to sell.
There was even a movie where I think it was called Bite. It's about a woman that is slowly turning into a bug, and she has like egg sacs that are like pouring out of her, and like all this.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I believe it was that film, that it said that at the very first screening, they actually handed barf bags to everybody as soon as they walked in. And they were like, all right, go ahead, sit down. The movie will start here in about 5 minutes. And it's like, oh, okay, well,
that's intense.
It's like, what do I need this for? You'll know.
You'll find out.
We all watched it, and now you get to too. So, but no, I feel like that's a way that you could be very successful. I feel like that's something that you could do to, to stir up that controversy. It's what Tom Six did with Human Centipede. He knew, he's like, this is a movie about people that are going to eat shit. Like that's
literally
like that's what this movie is. And it's like, okay, well, he clearly believes in this, and clearly believes that this is, and doesn't care about whether or not people like him or not. He just wants to be remembered.
Right.
And that's what's so impressive about him, is that it's like I don't condone the stories he tells, obviously, because they're like, material wise, they're horrendous, but he did something really, really impressive. It was that, like, when you have Tom Cruise asking for a private screening of the first Human Centipede and wanted Tom to be in his living room when he watched it. That's what Tom Six has been able to do with his life. It's like he is famous for just a very, very different reason.
Right.
So I feel like there's some notoriety there. I think that there
is.
There's
that's why I said.
Yeah, I think that it's something that could really work, but it's just unfortunate that art can't be viewed through the same lens like we can. That's what's really, really unfortunate.
It is, and that's where it'll probably never be that way.
Right.
But
nevertheless, though,
yeah.
I believe that we've had ourselves a
interesting band movie expedition here.
I like talking about things like this. This is good. Yeah. It gets controversy stirred up. You know what I'm saying? So it's people to click. Clicky. So anyway,
clicky.
But I appreciate every single one of you that has been watching this, and that if you like what you've seen and you want to subscribe, make sure you do so. Hit that notification bell. That way you never miss an episode. And Eric, do you have anything you would like to say before we sign off for the night?
Don't be a sissy. Go watch the Faces of Death movies. All of them except for the first one. Just do it.
You heard it here, folks. Go watch it. Kyle out.